America's Missing Kids, a disparaging reality. Whew. You ready for this one, Sammy?
I'm ready as I'll ever be.
All right, let's do it. Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to Regina and Friends Crime Chat. I'm your host, Regina, and here with us today, as always, we have the lovely Sammy. Sammy, how are you doing, beautiful?
Howdy, howdy. Good morning to everybody.
Good morning, good morning. Okay, so I've been doing a little research over the past few days. Um, Actually, this is something that's been on my mind for a little while. Um, this has to do with missing kids in America. And I have been doing a lot of digging and looking at statistics and things like that. And I have come across a very alarming situation here in America with our missing children. And it's not even being reported on, Sammy. It's not even being reported on. Um,
Like, feels like it's swept under the rug.
yeah, it really does. It really does. So I'd like to start out with the statistical data on the disproportionalities of children victimization real quick, if I could. And it's going to lead into a little bit more of the topic. And this is from missingkids.org. This is from their blog, and it says the 6th to 24th of 2021, the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children's mission is to help find missing children, reduce child exploitation, and prevent child victimization. As the nation's clearinghouse and comprehensive reporting center for issues related to prevention of and the recovery of child victimization, we regularly analyze data trends because understanding the risk that children face is critical to protecting them. A comparison of the reports of missing children made to NCMEC between 2016 and 2020 and recent census data indicates that Black and Native American children are disproportionately represented among missing children. Of the children reported missing, 31% were Black, only 14% of the U.S. population is Black. 1.5% of the children reported missing to NCMEC were Native American, but only 8% of the population is Native American, and 10% of missing children were multiracial compared to 4% of the representation in the census. And then it has the chart right here, as you can see. Look at that. Actual uh, Anglo Saxon white children are at 51%, and Black children, which are the minority, are at 31%. Mm-mm-mm.
Now, this is based off of what's actually reported, though, right?
Yes, and we're gonna get. Ooh, I'm glad you brought that up, Sammy, because there's a lot of missing children that aren't reported ever. So we're gonna get into that here in a little bit. I'm glad you brought it up. In recent years, greater attention has been focused on children who are missing from state care. Did you hear what I said? In recent years, greater attention has been focused on children who are missing from state care. These children experience a variety of risk factors that can make them more vulnerable to going missing or forms of exploitation. Of the cases of missing children reported to NCMEC between 2016 and 2020, 80% of them were missing from care. 80% of the children were reported missing were from state care, the system, foster care, halfway houses for kids, reformation camps. MCMEC data also indicated that some communities were disproportionately represented in these cases. We believe the racial and ethical, we believe the racial and ethnic disproportionalities in the missing children cases reported from NCMEC, particularly those missing children from care, are in part due to the systemic and historical inequalities that people of color, Native American, and indigenous communities face in society. NCMEC is committed to remaining the equitable, inclusive, survivor centered, and trauma informed organization. We will continue to leverage our resources, data, and information to help address these disparities by pursuing deeper understandings of possible disparities in cases of missing children and exploited children, surviving our staff, excuse me, supporting our staff and partners in this media, public safety, and child serving fields by sharing strategies to reduce the impact bias in providing services and support to families. Engaging diverse stakeholders through our family advocacy and public private partnership to deliver services and resources. So, this is just a little bit of a background of where this information is coming from and what this organization is dedicated to. But the stats were what I really wanted to away from it the most. And if you guys would like to see this data for yourself, I am going to put the link in the chat right now for you guys so that y'all can go look this up for yourselves as well, because this is, oh, okay, there it goes. This is a scary situation for our children, a very scary situation for our children. And there is the link so that you can go look at this data right here for yourselves. And then, okay, Sammy. So far, what do you think about that? That 80% of children that go missing from state care, and this is all states. This is states in the United States.
Well, I think it's sad, but at the same time, it's something that you would think when they go into care, state care, that they're actually being taken care of. I understand these children are old enough to have a mind of their own and decide they want to leave because this is not their home. I get that, but the fact that 80% of the children that are been going missing are, through the state, um, they're being looked after by the state. It's just really scary to me. These are individuals, they're human beings who are relying and depending on someone to care for them, and it's pretty obvious they're not receiving that care, right?
Right.
I don't know. I can't help my heart just
Whoop,
feels
wrong one.
that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And here's something scary to add on to it. The Amber Alert system doesn't even help these children.
Right.
It
Right.
it doesn't even help them because I've actually got an article. This is from Elon University. This is written by Julia Kearney. Um, it's a it's a it's a it's being produced out of the college, out of Elon University. Um, America's Black children are presented at disproportionately high rates, and how the Amber Alert is at fault. A news article from Julia Kearney, not CNN. On December 16th, 2019, security camera footage of a black teenager went viral. 16-year-old Carol Sanchez was being abducted by two men and forcibly pushed into a sedan. Despite this, it took the police 12 hours to issue an Amber Alert. Minatitloglo, Taglo, Minataglio. I don't even know. I can't even pronounce that. Unfortunately, Sanchez was found unharmed 2 days later, and it was reported that the kidnapping had been staged. However, the fact that it took the police so long to issue the Amber Alert shows the underlying racial disparity of the alert system. In the United States, approximately 600,000 people go missing every year. The nation's silent mass disaster of this number, youths under the age of 18 account for about 35% of those reported cases. FBI releases 2019 missing person statistics. Missing children have become more publicized in the United States over the past 2 decades, which has resulted in nearly 98% of these missing children being located. National child kidnapping facts. While this is promising, there are severe racial disparities in the statistics of the 2% who are still missing. According to data from the 2019 United States Census, people who are Black or African American make up about 13.4% of the U.S. population. Quick facts. However, nearly 40% of missing persons are of color, statistics Black and missing. Black children make up about 33% of all missing children cases. However, a research study published in the 2015 Communication Research Reports found that missing Black children only comprise 7% of media references. This lack of media coverage, a discussion as discussed by Jada Moss in the Forgotten Victims of Missing White Women Syndrome, is likely related to the fact that there are 4 times more unsolved Black missing person cases than there are cases of missing whites and Hispanics, Moss 740. Frequently in the media, missing white children are given more coverage time. This disparity in media coverage time has been frequently called missing white women syndrome or damsel in distress syndrome, since it highlights the tunnel vision of young, white, attractive, wealthy females. Moss 471. I mean 741. Without addressing missing white women syndrome, missing Black children will remain underrepresented in the media and will continue to contribute to the disproportionately high volumes of unsolved cases. One of the best ways for missing children to be given media coverage is via America's Missing Broadcast Emergency Response, the Amber Alert System, which was founded in 1996 after the kidnapping and murder of 9-year-old Amber Hagerman. About Amber Alert. The system relays information on the kidnapped children to the public so that people in the local area can help spot the children in question or their abductor. As of December 2020, the Amber Alert system has successfully assisted in rescue of 1,029 kidnapped children. Statistics, U.S. Department of Justice. One problem with the Amber Alert system is that the strict criteria a case must fulfill for a message to be broadcast. It is because of these criteria that many missing Black children are pushed aside. To be labeled an Amber Alert, there must be reasonable evidence that an abduction has occurred. The child must be believed to be in immediate danger of seriously bodily injury or death. There must be enough descriptive information about the victim and the abductor, and this law actually just changed. This law just changed about the vehicle description and the abductor because now the Amber Alert, uh, they can issue one even without vehicle description or anything like that. So this law has changed here. The child must be under age of 17. That still stands true. And the child's information must be entered into the National Crime Information Center system. Guidelines for issuing Amber Alerts. And like I said, that the laws have changed on Amber Alerts. If these guidelines are not met, an Amber Alert cannot be issued and the child is labeled as a runaway. Now, this is a problem right here. Sammy, even though the law has changed, if they suspect a child has been abducted at all, even without identifying information about the abductor or the vehicle that they're in, they can still issue an Amber Alert for that child and put their picture out there. But the thing is, this still stands true about these children being reported as runaways because I've done more research into this, and these children, especially of the black demographic, are being reported as runaways, and their cases are never looked into again. They put it out on their police uh,
I find it
Twitter
bothersome. If
pages
they're
and stuff like
minors
that.
and they're missing, they're missing. How can they assume
Exactly,
that
that they're
number
runaways.
one, that they're runaways? Like they couldn't assume any other thing um, without some kind of proof, right? Well,
Right.
if a child is missing, they're missing, and it's a
Period.
child.
It's a
Yes.
child. Exactly. Exactly. And whenever we go over the rest of this, I hate this, but it makes your heart sink even more when you realize what's going on. It's
Yeah.
it's it's because when you find out this is coming to a conclusion, this everything that we're going over is coming to a conclusion, and
I don't care
there's
who you are, a child, a minor is always at risk. I don't care
right.
who you are. Yes, there are factors for some of these children that make them a more vulnerable human being out on the
Hmm.
street when they're trying to
Hmm.
run. I get
Hmm.
it. But that's all the more reason to be on alert and looking for these children every single time, no
Yeah, but
matter
there's
what.
Sammy. There's a reason they're not looking for them, and we're going to get into that too. And it's more than just because they're runaways, sadly. When a child is listed as a runaway, they receive no media coverage unless police and government resources are available for their recovery. Being listed as a runaway can also be a legal loophole for law enforcement because when a child is listed as a runaway, excuse me, the police are allowed to delay response and investigation time. Moss 752. In cases where the child is mislabeled as a runaway, this delay is critical time that could be spent locating a child in danger. Based on Moss's extensive research, black missing children are disproportionately labeled as runaways, which ultimately means that fewer resources are allotted to their safe return. Jolie Mosse, Mos, Mose, Mose, I'm having a hard time pronunciating her last name. Enunciating. Forgive me for that. Was a 16-year-old girl from Virginia whose parents reported her missing on January the 13th of 2018. Since the police categorized her as a runaway, they did not begin looking into her disappearance until 3 days after she was reported missing. Jolie was found dead 14 days after she had gone missing. If she had been properly labeled as an endangered missing person, the police and the community would not have wasted 3 days assuming she would be coming home. In 2019, 59% of children who were given an Amber Alert were recovered by an individual or law enforcement officer that recognized either the vehicle used in the abduction, the child, or the abductor. And that comes from the 2019 Amber Alert report. If Jolie Mouse had been given an Amber Alert or the community had been made aware of her disappearance, it is hard not to think that she could still be here today. Following her death, Massey's family created a Not a Runaway Inc. NAR, which has worked to produce the Jolie Alert System. The Jolie Alert System. This system was created to gather the community to search for all missing children, no matter how they are labeled in the system. NAR believes that the Amber Alert criterion is too strict and the children deserve to be given media attention no matter the circumstance in which they are missing. By rallying the communities of children who are missing, NAR believes that a higher rate of children would be located and it could also reduce some of the racial disparities in the media if all children are given the same amount of attention. The Jolie Alert has not been enacted in any state or federal law and has only been carried out by volunteers, but the idea of creating an updated alert system has been thrown around for more than once. Moss 734. They are trying, you guys. They are fighting. They are fighting to get these children. And whenever you find out where these children are going missing from, it's going to blow your minds. It blew my mind. The Riley Alert is another attempt to combat racial disparities in the media. Coming out of the disappearance of 4-year-old Riley Wilson, the Riley Wilson Act allows for an alert to be broadcasted even if the missing child does not meet all of the criteria for the Amber Alert. It works similarly and alongside the current Amber Alert to relay critical missing child information to the public without having a list, the abductor's name, vehicle, or other specific information. And this was actually, this is the Ryla Alert, uh, Raya, Raya Alert. Um, this is what was incorporated into the Amber Alert now. The Ryla Alert could make it easier for law enforcement to use loopholes when it comes to searching for missing children and easier for the public to learn about missing children in their area. Moss 756. While the Ryla Alert has potential to address some of the issues that exist surrounding the black missing children are reported in the media, it currently only exists in Florida. As of today, there is no data on whether the Ryla Alert has reduced the disproportionate amount of media coverage given to missing black children. But as new research is released on how to close the gap, the Ryla Alert or other similar alerts may become a new normal. Sharing information can be one of the most crucial ways to help locate any missing person, and resources like the Charlie Project exist to continue to keep the public informed. The Charlie Project is a public database where missing persons cold case data from multiple news sources are combined in an easily accessible place, while the Charlie report does not have any form of investigation into the cases that are featured. By making the information easily accessible, it allows those who wish to help to investigate or to bring awareness to cases that would otherwise be lost in the mainstream media. As of September 19th, 2021, the online database features 13,308 cold cases, 2,401 of which are black missing persons. Reducing the number of black cold cases and finding black missing children starts with bringing awareness to these updates, alert systems, and closing the report disparity gap. And then I'm going to post the link so that you can yourself get the sources for this data that I have just relinquished. All righty then. Okay, hold on. Ugh. All right, Sammy, these next two articles explain why these children are going missing. Ugh. And it's not just black children either. It is happening to white children. It's happening to all children. It is happening at a more alarming rate that is going uninvestigated by police, and these children are being labeled as runaways. But there is a conclusion to where these children are going missing from, and there's also a number of these children that aren't being reported that
I
the
don't know, it's
numbers.
because it's like a stigmatism for them, just like we've had problems bringing everything to the forefront on missing adults who are either have a history with being a worker on the street or drug dealing or something involved with drugs. And then finally, we're getting to a point where They take these people, they're human beings that are missing. And now it's become, now this with the children, it's so easy for them just to turn around and label them as runaways instead of realizing, especially if they're running from the state care, that's an issue. That's the issue. It isn't, it's almost like another green light for them just to go, oh, it's just another runaway and walk away from it. That's wrong. These are our children in our country who need us.
Absolutely, Sammy. Exactly. These are our children and they need us. They need us desperately. They need us to be more involved. Family members um, don't even realize a lot of times that this is even going on with their own family members. They're disappearing from the system, which is what we're fixing to get into. And you guys, if I go missing, it's because I talked about this subject. This is a subject that is going ignored, and it's important that we don't ignore this subject because I myself have been a victim. I'm not African American and I didn't go missing, but I've been a victim of what's going on with these kids from the conclusion that I've seen. Um, let's get into it. Black kids go missing at a rate higher than white kids. Here's why we don't hear about them. The chilling story of Jamie Kloss, the 13-year-old Wisconsin girl who was kidnapped after her parents were killed last year, was national news. But people might be less familiar with the story of Ariana Fitz, a 2-year-old who went missing in 2016 before her mother was found brutally murdered in San Francisco Bay Area. Each of these cases is compelling, but the two didn't receive the same amount of media attention. Some experts believe it's because Kloss is white and Fitz is black. In fact, data shows that missing white children receive far more media coverage than the missing black and brown children, despite higher rates of missing children among communities of color. The FBI's National Crime Information Center database lists 424,066 missing children under 18 in 2018, the most recent year for which data is available. About 37% of those children are black, almost 40%, and they're the minority, even though black children only make up about 14% of all children in the United States. It's harder to say how many Hispanic kids are missing. The FBI's report grouped white and Hispanic children together. Based on other reports, about 20% of children missing are Hispanic or Latino, according to Robert Lowry, Vice President of the Missing Children Division at the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. But the real number, he said, is likely higher. I think there's a false belief that white children make up the biggest number of missing children, when in fact, proportionally, it's just the opposite, Lowry said, adding that the high number of black girls reported missing is particularly concerning. Here are some reasons why experts say we don't hear about more missing children of color. Their families are hesitant to call police. Some families are hesitant to contact law enforcement even when they think their child is missing. There's a sense of distrust between law enforcement and the minority community. I wonder why, said Natalie Wilson, co founder of the Black and Missing Foundation. The distrust contributes to a silent code of no snitching, Wilson said, adding that it is important for people who suspect a child is missing to speak up. It could be your child, your mother, your father that's missing, she said. You would want someone to speak up to help find them. Absolutely. Other families might not report their child is missing because they fear it could have unintended negative consequences. For example, Lowry expects missing Latino children are underreported because some families with undocumented members might not contact police for fear of being deported. What were we just talking about? Crimes from the border, Sammy. That very thing, were we
Yep.
not?
Yep. Yep. Exactly. And these crimes are perpetrated upon people who are less likely to report it than
Yep.
most. Yes.
Yep. By the way, thank you all for being here today so far. I appreciate each and every one of you. It's good to see you all.
Howdy, Mr. Jinx. How's it going?
Whew. News media organizations have often been criticized for not giving missing black children the amount of attention they give missing white kids. A 2010 study found that black children were significantly underrepresented in TV news, even though about a third of all missing children in the FBI's database were black. They only made up about 20% of the missing children cases covered in the news. In 2015, a 2015 study was bleaker. Though black children accounted for about 35% of missing children cases in the FBI's database, they amounted to only 7% of media references. Experts say media coverage is vital to helping solve these cases. It puts law enforcement on alert and add additional resources to the case, Wilson said. If no one knows about it, there's no one doing anything to help find them or help them get assistance they need. Families don't have resources. Families don't always have the financial resources to respond appropriately when their child is missing. They might not be able to afford a private investigator or take off from work to help look for their child and follow up with law enforcement and the media. And in some cases, they may not know what to do. Wilson said some people are under the misconception that they must wait 48 hours before filing a police report. I would like to take a moment and reiterate that you can report your child missing as soon as you don't know where they are. And and uh, you can't think about that 48 hours. That is old TV, like way long ago fuddy dud. You can report someone missing as soon as you don't know where they are. When the waiting period varies by location, it's there's usually no waiting period for a missing child. Shame on anywhere that does have wait on a missing child. That's part of the problem. Places like Illinois or Washington, D.C. don't have waiting periods for children, periods to report a missing child. Knowing the laws in your state helps, and when in doubt, contact law enforcement immediately. You should always contact law enforcement immediately if you don't know where your kid is. Time is of the essence when your child is missing, you guys. You got to report it quicker. There are other resources that families can utilize as well. The Black and Missing Foundation helps families of color file police reports, create missing posters, and spread the word about missing children. And we're going to go over that a little bit. Uh, I'm giving out these resources as well, and I'll be putting the post of this link down below so that y'all can have it and go straight to this link too. Um, Facebook groups offer an online community for parents to alert the public about their missing child and ask questions of others who have had similar experiences. Aliso Montoya, who runs the Facebook group Runaway and Missing Children in California, said he keeps the page going because it allows families to feel like they're doing something even when it seems like authorities are giving up. Every state needs one of these. Every state needs one of these Facebook groups. A page like mine is very important for people of color because nobody embraces people of color, Montoya said. Some get classified as runaways. When most people think of missing children, they think of young children abducted by strangers. But missing children can refer to kids who are abducted by relatives or children who leave home, either voluntarily or after being lured by someone else. Many missing children of color are classified as runaways, Wilson said. And while running away from home isn't a problem unique to non white children, they are particularly vulnerable. A significant number of non white children who go missing are either homeless or in foster care, said Wilson, and many are at risk for being trafficked. Data shows black children are overrepresented in foster care and are at a much higher risk for homelessness. Law enforcement officers often classify children of color as runaways without having all the details, Wilson said, because those kids are considered to have voluntarily left home. Amber alerts aren't sent out about them, and they aren't typically covered in the news. Runaway cases and abductions by family members don't get the same media attention that abductions by non family members or strangers do, but all the scenarios fall under the missing umbrella. A child is missing if they are under age 18 and their legal guardian doesn't know where they are. Doesn't matter what color. The NCMEC no longer distinguishes between runaways and abductions on the posters of the missing children. Frankly, we are dealing with a desensitized public. Listen to what they said. Frankly, we are dealing with a desensitized public and media when we did that, Lowry said. Now, if you check our website, our children are just listed as missing children. Whenever you put on there that they're parental abductions or runaways, people don't look for them. Wilson stressed that runaway cases should be treated with the same urgency, and that's true because they're the most vulnerable. We have to be mindful, she said. What did they leave from, and what are they ultimately returning to? Ooh, you know what? That right there, that makes me think about Sebastian Rogers. What did they leave from, and what are they ultimately running for to? If Sebastian did run away from home, I don't think he did.
I
But
know, I
what's he
don't either.
returning to? That case kills me. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah.
S- I- mm. Sometimes children of color get classified as runaways when they are truly missing. Wilson said her organization has seen many such cases. We tell parents all the time, you know your child better than anyone else, their behavior, their characteristics, she said. If you believe your child did not run away, you just have to stand firm with law enforcement and let them know that this is uncharacteristic of your child. Okay, and that's the last one for that. And then I have the last one, which is um, okay. The number of missing children in foster care. Giving Compass, guess where I got this information. The audit published earlier this year by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services found that state agencies failed to report more than 34,000 cases of missing foster children. You remember what you said about the cases that aren't getting reported?
It's from
Sammy.
the state's care.
Yep, it's from the state's care. Now, that's just the ones that weren't reported. The report found that Black and Native American children make up a disproportionate number of missing children. How is racial bias a factor? Under federal law, state social service agencies must submit a report to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, a nonprofit organization established by Congress. But see, the problem is these people that get paid for these children. I mean, look at this case where this family got custody of all these foster kids, all these kids, and we're using them as slaves. And we don't even know the full extent of what they were doing to those kids. And the state gave them these kids
Yep. It happens all the time, though,
all the
honestly.
time, Sammy. All the time. And they're not even reporting these kids missing. It's a problem. This is a real problem. And people aren't realizing it. 34,000 cases in 1 year of children that didn't get reported missing like they were supposed to out of foster care, you guys. Do the math. 50 states, 34,000 children. Do the math. Let me see. 680 children. That averages out to 680 children per state. And I'm sure that some states are higher and some states are lower. But holy crap. Lord help me, these children aren't even being reported. And they go missing from the state. And what does the state say? Oh, they're runaways. But no, 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 no. You guys, all these kids ain't runaways. That's what the statistics are saying. Sorry. Under federal law, state social service agencies must submit a report to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, a nonprofit organization established by Congress in 1984. When a child under their care goes missing, they are also required to notify law enforcement who report missing children to the National Crime Information Center. But an audit published earlier this year by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services found that across 46 states, state agencies failed to report an estimated 34,800 cases of missing foster kids. Cases include children who ran away multiple times. The average age, according to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. I don't know why I keep trying to say National Center for Disease Control. Um, Missing and exploited. It almost keeps slipping out. I think the the
It's been
biggest.
pounded in your head for the last few years, all
Yes,
of us.
exactly. Yes, yes. To the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, who was 15. The average age for a missing child in America is 15. What do you know? And they're all counted as runaways. When it comes to teenagers specifically, most children welfare systems just don't have the right service array because systems are often built for babies and younger children, said consultant and attorney Lisa Pilnick, director of Child and Family Policy Associates, a child welfare consulting and research firm. Okay, Sammy, I'm going to let you take the floor for just a minute. My mouth is so dry. I need water.
Well, we know that foster care is not necessarily always ideal for these young people, especially when they are getting of a certain age. They start aging out of the system. But the trouble is, there's no oversight. There is no oversight. We're being told that there's not enough staff for this, any states that are taking these children in to function properly. My thing is this: we need a whole new system. We need a system revamp. We need oversight. We need people overseeing the children. Unfortunately, it's going to require a whole revamp of our national system in order to be able to keep track of these children and see that they truly are getting the care that they deserve as a child until they turn 18. And I think part of it is getting it there means we have to bring attention to it. The attention needs to be called to this situation for all of humanity, for all of our children's sake. And it's disturbing the numbers that we see in different races being reported or not reported. But ultimately, I think as a nation, it's our responsibility if we're going to provide this sort of, a place for them when there is no place for them because mom and dad have either disappeared or been to prison or whatever the case is. Maybe they're not being taken care of and they are abused and neglected. We need a better system here, and we need a system to oversee the system.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And we need to start taking it upon ourselves as family members. Whenever you find out a child, a relative, has been taken by DHS, you guys, the worst thing that can happen to a kid in most cases, and I hate to say this, but it's the truth, as someone who has been in the system. Um, I know there's probably some new people in here that don't know this, and I'll cover it eventually. It's really hard to talk about though. But my parents went to prison for murder whenever I was 2.5, and I was part of the Florida foster care system. Um, they went to prison for first degree. Well, my father, he was convicted of first degree murder, and my mother she pled down to child neglect after she seen my dad get convicted and sentenced to death. Um, my dad later he got an appeal and he was finally exonerated of my little sister's death, which is what both of my parents went to prison for. It turns out she died from the use of forceps during birth, and it caused a hemorrhage of the brain. But Florida State refused to let the testimony from George Collier, which was the doctor that delivered my brother and sister. They were twins. One of them died, my little sister. Um, Struck his testimony from the record because he wasn't licensed in the state of Florida. And my father eventually was, exonerated and acquitted after he was convicted and put on death row. And my mother, she um she pled down after she seen what happened to my dad because she was terrified. So she actually had to serve her full time, uh, for the neglect. I think it was. It was either
Regina,
child
how
neglect.
old were you when this happened?
I was 2.5.
Oh my Lord. And what happened to you
I was
when
put
they
in
took your
foster
parents
care.
away? Yeah.
I was I was put in foster care and I was trafficked by the Wimberleys when I was a baby, and so was my brother Anthony. And I've seen things that no child should have to see ever, you guys. And I'm telling you, foster care is no place for children. Do everything you can to keep your kids and protect them and keep them out of the system. And it
I love
wasn't
you,
even like,
Regina. I love you so much, and I'm so sorry you went through that. But guess what? You get to be their voice now. You lived, and you get to be their voice now.
and you know what the most messed up part about it is? When I was finally old enough to do something about it and I reported it, they told me that the statute of limitations had been it had reached the statute of limitations and they couldn't even do anything about it. And I found out that those Wimberleys ended up having a daughter. And they ended up, there was another boy in foster care with us that was older, and he was so traumatized by what happened to him. They had him for so long that he ended up being, um, a predator himself, and he assaulted their 9-year-old daughter, and they sent him to prison, but they were selling kids out of their house. They were selling them out of hotels.
You get to be their voices.
Sorry.
Don't be sorry. You survived it. You're an amazing individual. I'm so glad that you are here and you made it.
I know kids that didn't. I was saying things, Sammy. I just, it's hard to even talk about it. Just, it feels like it steals my breath away still, even after all these years, you know?
I know.
And my grandmother had to fight for custody of us to get us back. It was horrible. It was horrible. Um,
Yes, it's people like Regina who know the truth, who've lived it themselves. And I think that more people need to come out and speak on behalf of all of these children and be a witness to the general public on the treatment these children are receiving half of the time or more. And we need to be their voice. We need to be
No.
their voice.
Uh,
Slow Rider asks, please don't say these people are still on the streets. And Brooke wants to know what happened to the foster parents.
Nothing, because the
Yep.
statute of limitations had ran out on it.
Well, not to mention
Nothing.
them being a provider of, hey, we got to bring a few kids over, and they're there, they're less likely to get, looked at because they've already been approved and certified by the state, right?
Um, I do not think that they are still fostering children. No. From what I understand, through family members that still live in that area of Florida, the mother, she ended up dying from cancer. So, yeah, no, they don't. I wouldn't assume that they would let the father keep fostering children anymore. But this really happens, you guys. This really happens, and it there's there's kids out here that never can cope with it and deal with it, and it hurts them so badly and deeply, especially whenever it's the system that's supposed to protect them, um, and the system that is supposed to have measures in place to prevent this kind of stuff. They don't. They don't. I'm sorry. I've
Well,
got
I
to go
think
with
I
go
really
on.
truly
Yeah.
think that our national system, it needs to become more nationalized, basically. Like we need more
Tammy, the
oversight.
problem, you want to know what the real problem is? People who cover this, people who tell the truth what's going on in these foster systems and talk about the trafficking that is going on with these babies. They die. They die for
Yeah,
covering it. I can show you
I know.
cases. I can show you.
I know.
And that's part of the reason earlier today when I told you I was going to cover this, this is that one that could make me come up missing,
Right.
especially since I said their last names. It's the Wimberleys.
People need to start speaking more of the truth and help these children. Somebody has to have at least have the courage to do so because they're not able to speak for themselves. And it's pretty obvious if and when they do, they're silenced.
When
That's
it
true,
comes,
Davy. The problem is that the government backs the other side. That's right. That's right.
it's absolutely true. I'm so sorry, Slow Rider. I'm so sorry. See, I was adopted when I was 12. But all of the trauma that had happened to me before that, like I was fortunate and I was adopted. Finally my grandparents got custody of us and they ended up adopting us. But my grandfather, the man that I called my grandfather, was not actually my grandfather. He was just a really good man that ended up teaching me, um, that what love was, that didn't hurt people. And he was a good man. He never hurt me. He took good care of me. He taught me how to be an adult. He taught me everything he knew. He was amazing. His name was Herschel Wiseman, and I was very blessed to have him in my life. because after my parents went to prison for murder, whenever they finally got out, they weren't the same people. They never could get their crap together again. You know what I mean? Yeah. Brooke, the welfare system is not designed to help families regardless of what they tell you. Regardless.
And that's
Mm-mm.
exactly what happens too with these parents and family members that try to help the children. It is used against them. Any conversation they ever have with anyone from the state, it is turned against them, twisted, turned, and used against them. Yep, it's sad.
Absolutely. It really is. Yes. And do you know why? And the most messed up part about it is the reason this is happening is because money and sickness. We have so many corrupt people running our government programs. And the bad news is the younger the child is, the more money they make off of them. It's the truth.
Yeah.
And then by the time these children are teenagers and young adults, guess what happens? Then they've already been victimized and they're so anxious to get out of their situation that they run away and then they fall victim to the streets, you guys. This is what's happening to America's children. And it's real. It's very real. And nobody is talking about it. Ooh, sorry. I can't believe I cried. I'm so
Well,
sorry.
don't be sorry. Don't be sorry. I'm ever so grateful that you survived your ordeal because guess what, Regina? You get to be a voice for these children who don't have one. And a lot of people are afraid, and I get that. But it needs to come out, and people need to be aware. And our
Somebody
children need
needs
to
to.
matter more.
Somebody needs to. Davy, I'm going to look that up. Thank you for telling me about that. Mel Gibson is making a documentary about it. Yeah. Um,
Absolutely. It needs to get out.
yes, it does. Absolutely. Um, I'm sorry. I'm going to try to finish this one. Um, the articles and stuff. We left off at the average age, according to the National Center for Missing and Exploiting Children, was 15. Now, that's the average age. That's not the age of all of them. When it comes to teenagers specifically, most child welfare systems just don't have the right service array. I read that part. We don't have enough family placements. That's because they can't make as much money off of troubled teens as they can kids that can't fight back. True. I'm sorry, but it's the truth. It's the truth. And by the time they've been in the system and been hurt and abused and they're teenagers, they got so much rage and so much angst from what's happened to them in the foster care system that whenever they finally do get in a home where they aren't abused anymore, they don't even know how to behave. And that's the truth, you guys. It's the truth. Teens often run away or go missing more than once during their time in foster care. Teens often run away or go missing more than once during their time in foster care. The National Center for Missing and Exploited Children report found that 40% of foster children who were reported missing went missing multiple times, an average of 4 times while in state care because they are trying to get away from the abuse. It's true. Black and Native American children are overrepresented in foster care and make up a disproportionate number of missing kids. Hamilton was among those black children. Studies have shown that states are more likely to remove black children from their homes and that racial bias is a factor. The foster care system is wrought with a lot of difficulties, said Gaetano Borders, president of Peas in Their Pods, a nonprofit that advocates for missing children of color. When you add that to the complexities of missing children, reporting of missing children, and how that intersects with human trafficking and exploitation. It is honestly a complete mess. Recent reports on some states are equally damning. In Georgia, nearly 1,800 children in state care went missing between 2018 and 2022, according to new analysis conducted by the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children as part of the U.S. State Senate panel's ongoing probe into Georgia's, listen to this, child welfare system. Well, it's nice that they're probing into Georgia, but they really got a couple more states they need to look into. More than 20% of those were likely trafficked. Samantha Saul, supervisor of the Children's Child Trafficking Recovery Service team, said at a subcommittee hearing Monday. This is what's going on in our country. Yes, it is a good place to start. You're right. What's that, Sammy? Is that the YouTube?
Well, now I had looked it up, and it's a trailer for something on YouTube through Mel Gibson, and I'm not for sure that it focuses just solely on children, but I do believe that it has something to do with trafficking. But you have to understand if he's really truly trying to do any kind of documentary, there's going to be a lot of misinformation out there to try to thwart him from succeeding.
If
So
he
kind of
doesn't,
keep your eye out. Keep your eye out.
if he doesn't get murdered or
Yeah.
overdose on fentanyl by then,
Well,
and he don't even do fentanyl, I'm pretty sure.
I was I was looking into this subject many, many, many years ago, and I'm talking like 2018. And I had made contact with some journalists who were trying to get in these inner circles to get information on what's happening to the children, how they're being obtained, what's happening to them after they are, stuff like that. And it was gruesome. And the journalist that I had made contact with has just dropped off the face of the earth over the years. And you have to understand this is dangerous. And I know that. But for the general public, I think the more that it's in the public eye, the harder it's going to be for them to start, targeting everyone and disappearing everyone. Everyone needs to be a voice for these children, not just you, not just me, everyone.
Everyone, everyone. And um, I have the statistics. I have the statistics for missing children. You guys, these are staggering numbers. Okay. There are 168,063 white children in foster care, as according to the United States in 2021. There are 86,645 children in foster care that are Black or African American. There are 85,215 Hispanic. There are 30,701 biracial children. American Indian, Alaskan Native, there are 9,393. Unknown race, 7,144. Asian children account for 2,025. And Native Hawaiian or other Pacific Islanders, 987 in foster care. Wow, it's crazy. There are foundations and there are hope, you guys. And listen, it's not even being reported in the communities like it's supposed to. It's this. Did I see the MSM reaction? Where? What's the MSM reaction, Davy? Davy Jones. I looked up the documentary and it says that
Yeah,
was not true. He is not making that. Oh, okay.
but there's
Okay.
no way to know for sure. Anyone that is passionate about it, um, you got to the point where, okay, let me explain something from my point of view when I was trying to get in to try to get the word out. People were dropping like flies. And sometimes you have to do exactly what you have to do to disappear the whole situation so that you are not targeted because then your work goes undone. So if it means that maybe he could be doing it in the background and trying to divert attention from it while he's in the process of trying to create this information for us all to consume. His life is at stake. It don't matter get Mel Gibson or not. Doesn't matter who you are. There are certain individuals that will disappear you and your family. I learned this the hard way, and I had to walk away from some things because I had nothing, nothing to stand on except some of the
Wow.
info that I was given.
Yeah, I know, Davy Jones. Yep,
It's
that's what they
scary,
do. That's what they do.
and
They
it's
say that people that try to provide this information and tell people what's really going on are conspiracy theorists or they discredit them. They discredit them
oh
because
for sure.
whenever people have been traumatized like this, they tend to commit crime later. And whether it's petty stuff or whether it's this, that, or the other, they use that to discredit people that have been abused and a product of the system, to
Well, I've seen where
discredit
they
them.
place something on them to make them look like the worst criminal in the world,
Yeah.
uh, where these children are concerned, and that's something that you don't escape.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, Bratty, it's good to see you, beautiful. I'm glad you made it. But those are the statistics. Now there is some hope. And you know what? Here's something that really bothers me though. It's true that black children are disproportionately in foster care and come up disproportionately missing than white children. But nobody's talking about any of these kids in the system going missing, you guys. Any of them, except for the black community. They're actually trying. They're trying to raise awareness about these children going missing, but it's not just black kids going missing either. I'd like to share this with you guys because this is awesome of California. Because it is mostly um, black and missing children um, that are, these are the children that are missing. That's what ethnicity they mostly are. But it says on January 1st, a new California law protecting Black youth will go into effect. The law creates an emergency alert list system similar to the Silver Act or Amber Alert that aims to help find missing Black youth between the ages of 12 and 25. That ain't going to help anything. That it's This is the wrong one. I must have closed out the other tab. Oh no, I already covered it in the other one, didn't I? I got my things mixed up. I'm sorry. I already did cover it. This is terrible. Anyways, you guys, um, I'm gonna open up the phone lines for just a little while. Sammy, was there something you'd like to add to this?
Well, Davy Jones said the powers that be have a lot invested in getting the father out of black homes. And, you know, the powers that be are fully invested in keeping this nation divided any way they possibly can. And the best way to do that is to abolish the family unit, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Continue. I was listening.
Well,
You
I'm just
what?
responding with, I agree, and they're more fully invested as a government in keeping us divided any way that they can,
Well,
and I
let
just
me ask
believe
you
that
this,
that's
Sammy.
part of the problem.
Let me ask you this, Sammy. Who does it benefit to put a statute of limitations on child assault or any assault for that matter, whenever it comes to being violated sexually?
It only serves the perpetrator, right?
It only serves the perpetrator, but that's the laws. It's almost laws in every state. They have statute of limitations on it. Who do you think passes those laws? People that want there to be a statute of limitations on their egregious actions on another human being.
Yep.
Think about it, you guys. These laws that are protecting these criminals, whenever these children finally get old enough to speak for themselves, who put those laws into place? I think these are the people we need to be looking at the hardest. Who pushed for those laws to be made effective? Oh, absolutely, Brooks. Absolutely. Go take care of your babies. Thank you. Thank you so much. I like Candace Owens as well. She really speaks on hard topics. And I'm hoping that we get this story out there. You guys, I hope you do share this story because this is happening in our America to our children. And sadly, whenever these children are taken by the state under false pretenses, you're fine. Yeah. Um, whenever people, whenever children are taken from these families under, and the sad news is if you don't have money, do you know who you can't fight? DHS. Whenever they do take your children, um, people that don't have the money are usually the ones that are impoverished, and sadly, here in America, statistically speaking, um, African Americans have a greater unemployment rate and a higher arrest rate than whites. So that's the children that are mostly um, taken, and the families don't have the finances to fight it. And then you got a 20% chance of being, and I'm telling you, the risk is much higher than that. The risk is much higher than that. You would not believe the cases I have heard from people who have had children taken away from them, the atrocities that have happened to them in foster care. And you know what happens when the parents try to do anything about it? The state fights with them. That's exactly what happens. That's exactly what happens. Exactly. For once, there is something to vote for or against.
I think more people need to stand up and speak out a little on this topic where we have the ability nowadays to be the voice for our children. And every child in our nation is our children.
You know, this might sound crazy, even though what happened to me when I was little, I always knew that I wanted to be a mom. That way I could protect my children, that I could undo what was done to me to some degree, I
Break the
guess.
chain.
Break the
Yeah.
chain. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. That's why I wanted to be a mom. Yep. Break the
Jinx, I
chain.
couldn't agree with you more. Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
It's sad looking at our state of affairs now.
It really is. It's awful. And you got to think with people passing laws like this that keep uh people that do these kind of things, there's a statute of limitations on when someone assaults you like that. That's not good for victims. That's not good for children. There is a statute of limitations in almost every state, even for people who violate children. Children. Oh no. Yeah, slow rider. DHS is awful in Michigan. It's awful everywhere. My son passed away. His ex got my grandson when they took their other kids away for drug use, but letting her keep my grandson because the father passed makes no sense.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense at all.
It doesn't. The phone lines are open, you
Unbelievable.
guys, if you would like to call in. What's your take on this? Um, Give us a call and tell us what you think. The phone number is 870-266-6949. And if you guys wouldn't mind liking and sharing this coverage today to try and help and get the word out, I would greatly appreciate it because we have an opportunity to be a voice. We have an opportunity to stop this, but it's going to take us speaking up, getting these corrupt, perverse politicians out of office that are easy on these people that do these kind of things to children. The statute of limitations has got to be removed whenever it comes to cases involving children being assaulted. This is how we fight against it, you guys. It's the only way we can fight against it. Also, we're going to be covering another live tonight. If someone doesn't call in soon, we're gonna end it here though because we do have another live. See me at like 5,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. We've got another live covering breaking cases today. Um, there's other things we can do, like myself.
Hi, Silver. Yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
you know it. You know it. Some things we can do is if you have a family member in some states, they push the idea that they try to make sure that the child stays with family. One of the things that you can do is if you find out that a family member has had their children stolen by DHS, or unless there was a legitimate reason for it, is to try to get those family members, those children, from DHS yourselves. That's one of the best ways to.
My mother did it.
Yeah, Davy Jones,
She,
you're correct. You're
yep,
correct. My husband would chat with you all day about that too, about how
yep,
banks and people that are financing all of this.
yeah, yeah. Well, it's the money that's the problem here,
Oh
and the
my
people in
God,
between.
Bratty. They don't. It is ridiculous. It's so ridiculous that there's a statute of limitations on assaulting a child, period. And trafficking a child, even trafficking. These people trafficked me and my brother in Florida, the Wimberleys. And whenever I was finally old enough to report it, they told me the statute of limitations had ran out and they couldn't even investigate at that point. And you know what? The Wimberleys, they were people that had a lot of money down there in Live Oak and Mayo, Florida. They had a lot of money. You know where all the money came from? The foster kids that they were pushing through their house.
Just remember this, everyone out there who's ever been, you know, on the receiving end of this abuse, understand something. You're alive and you're hearing this for a reason, and you have a voice, and you can help the remainder of the children in this nation by speaking
Yes.
out and by
Yes.
telling your truth and at least letting people know these are real true monsters out there. When I shared what happened to me as a child, so many people that I would try to tell because I would see warning signs all around me from adults and children would
I am
just
putting
they would just totally completely poo poo it. You know what I
I
mean?
Yep, I know exactly what you mean. I'm putting my email in the chat. If you would like to message me anonymously, um, I am gonna do a series on children in foster care, people that have grown up now that went through the foster care system. Um, if you're willing to put your name to it and put it out there, that's fine. You do not have to for me to cover your story. Um, I'm telling my story. I'm sharing my story with you guys. Um, if you guys would like someone to speak up for you, even if you don't want to put your name on it, if you will send me an email and just tell me your story, I'll read it, I'll cover it, and I'll do a series on it. I'll do a series on it because people do need to know um, what's happening in America's foster care. People need to know what's happening and the number uh, disparity between blacks and whites. That is absolutely mind blowing. Mind blowing. But when you look at the number, even though it is a greater population of white kids, it's a higher percentage of black children. But you got to think all of these children that go missing, 34,000 cases not reported. 34,000. Oh, they just ran away. What did they run from? Why did they run away? I bet I know. I bet I know. And sadly, it's what's going on in our country. And we got to put a stop to it some way, somehow. This is my email address, Regina is Queen at yahoo.com. I'm going to be covering these cases, um, cases that people really need covered. And I think it needs attention brought to it, what's going on. Because I know there are other kids out there just like me that went through the system that were abused, and the people in the system made a profit, and the people that were abusing got what they wanted, and children who couldn't even fight them. You guys, some of these kids end up dead. That's why they don't get reported missing. It's the truth.
Exactly, Jinx. That excuse is BS because wouldn't runaway children be at a higher risk of victimization on the streets? Yep,
Exactly, Mystic Jinx.
that's
And we
right.
just said that earlier, didn't we, Sammy, in the first part of the show,
Oh,
or
yeah,
whenever we were covering it? Because these children are,
they're still missing
yes,
children.
are
Yeah,
run. Yes, exactly. 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 Exactly.
and I don't think I think the excuse of them being runaways is just another cop out, just like they used to say back in the day, oh, well, that was a sex worker or that was a drug addict. And we're like,
Yep.
nobody cares about that. We care about this missing individual. They had family, they had parents, they had siblings, they had children. They matter.
Absolutely. Absolutely, Sammy. All right. Well, the phone lines are open. Call in at 870-266-6949. If we don't get any callers soon, I think we're going to end it off within the next 5 minutes, Sammy, because we are having another live tonight. about the
Yeah.
escaped convict Joshua Zimmerman, they think his name is. But
Mhm.
apparently, they don't know that for 100% fact that that's his name. It's a big, crazy mess going on. You guys be sure and turn on your notifications so you can tune in with us at 5 p.m. for that one because you guys are not going to believe this. Y'all want to talk some conspiracy theory? The
Shh.
video of Josh. Okay, okay, fine, fine. Okay, okay. We'll save it for the next live, Sammy. We'll save it for the next live.
Hey, it's no laughing matter.
You're right, it's not, but you shushing me is.
But this is the very beginning of many more to come. This topic is near and dear to my heart. Regina hit the nail on the head, and I really believe that God saved her for a reason. And I want to be the supporter of that. Let's get the word out and let's start building. If the authorities aren't going to do anything to help these children, we can create a society that will. Let's do this.
Davy Jones, you're right about that. And the truth is, I have found a little bit of truth in almost all these conspiracy theories. I mean, think about it. For years, they've been saying that these people that said they were abducted and stuff, and all this UFO stuff was conspiracy. But now they're saying that this UFO stuff is not conspiracy. I mean,
Right?
yeah. There are no conspiracy theories. There are just stories that aren't covered and the evidence has been destroyed, right?
Yeah,
Right?
right. That's my story and I'm sticking to it.
Yeah, Brady Madeline Soto's case. There's something way off there with Mama in that case.
Mhm.
Absolutely. You guys,
Oh yeah.
there is no way anyone is ever going to convince me of anything other than that woman played an active part in her daughter's death somehow or knew about it and helped cover it up.
The fact that she was okay
Yes, it
with
was
half
Davy
of
Jones.
the
That's
crap,
correct.
yeah. The fact that she was okay with half of the crap that was going on and the way they lived tells you everything in my book.
You do not put your daughter, your teenage daughter, let alone in bed with a grown man and tell them to sleep in the other room. That is not normal. It's,
It's,
let me repeat that.
it's not
It's
okay.
not okay and it is not normal. Yes, Davy Jones, the Soto case. Brady was just talking about it. I'm so sorry, Brady. I'm so sorry. Oh yeah, her mom knew. And you guys, if they don't charge mom as well, there's something really wrong. But you know what? I'm starting to think that maybe it was part of a ring and mom is singing like a bird. I think that's why there was an arrest.
Well, you think about it, you're not going to damage the one source you have that's feeding you info, right?
Yeah, Davy, me too.
I've heard many
Yeah,
people
Brady.
question that too.
I have too. Many,
Yep,
many people. Many
yep.
people. Yep. Yep. And something else we haven't found out about. There's a lot of speculation that that poor girl might have been pregnant. Mm-mm-mm. And I don't know that's to be fact, but
No, but you know something? Believe
oh no, I
enough
think
authorities are involved that they're going to be able to get enough info to be able to build um, something that they could be investigating for years to crack down on major, major rings. I
yeah,
really
and
believe that somewhere in me,
you
yeah.
know what the sick part about it is, Sammy? How many of those cops do you think once they got that information off of Stefan's phone, sent it to other cops. How many of them do you think are
Well, if
sharing
they
the
did,
C-SAM
they're
from
in trouble.
Stefan's phone? Oh, they are going to tell on each other.
No, but this has been this I think is a nut it's a nutcracker. I think it's really gonna crack something open
Exactly, Davy. That's what I think. I think the case is expanded to a ring. You know what
yeah,
kind of ring I'm talking about.
because we're not hearing enough about this coming to a conclusion or an end to be able to say what's indefinitively going to happen to mom. And I really truly believe that they're being fed information that they have found to be valuable.
Yep.
Therefore, why not keep that in your pocket so you have more to work with so that you can get to the bottom of some of this really serious,
Word
badass
on the
stuff?
streets. Word on the streets is 2 weeks after Maddie went missing, Mom opened up a new phone in New York City and is in a rehab in New York City too. That's the word on the streets. So I went and I looked up Mom's phone numbers, and guess what? It's true. She has a brand new phone number in New York, New York area code. Yeah, it might become a RICO case. Yep. Anyways, you guys, nobody's calling in. I said I would give it 10 minutes. Yes, just like the cop that posted the picture of her deceased body. Exactly, Bratty. Exactly. And I've been saying this, there's a ring all along. Absolutely. 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 So you guys, you know what, Sammy? I think we need to start a petition that eliminates all statute of limitations for any person that sexually assaults a child. I think we need to start a national petition that stops the statute of limitations on anyone who assaults a child.
Amen.
Yep. So I'm going to work on that. Um, you guys, we're going again live at 5 tonight. We're going to be covering the Joshua Zimmerman, the escaped convict case. It's going to be really big fun on that case because y'all know I love a good conspiracy. But um so we're going to cover that one, and I'm sorry I didn't mean to break down and cry. It's just that that stuff is hard for me still. Um Not because of what happened to me, even though I did go through a lot, but because there are other children out there I know still going through it. That's what makes it hard for me. So please hit that like, subscribe, and share. Help get the word out, because together we can accomplish anything. Whenever we're all standing for the right things and the same things, we can truly accomplish anything. And I will be starting the petition. I'll have to write it up and I'll be posting it. I'll be posting it on my YouTube community page. Please share it from there. I'll try to get it posted probably by tomorrow because that's going to be quite a bit to write. Um,
Well, give us as much time as we need because it things
yeah,
when we embark on these things tend to, the more you get into it and the more that you want to implement this, the more accurate you have to be. So just give us some time.
yep, yep. So, you guys, we will see you at 5 o'clock. Lock your doors and windows. Stay vigilant. Sammy, did you want to add anything else real quick before we went?
Oh no, I think we did just fine. I'm happy with this, and I want to thank everyone who showed up, and thank you for being here for us and listening to us. And let's just spread the word, please. Help us out here.
Yes, it's okay, Braddy. It's okay. We'll see you there. You guys, by the way, the link on the community page to our subscribers Discord is now on our community page on YouTube. We have a Discord. We show true crime stuff. You can come in there. You can look at all of the cases, all we have different criteria meant for different cases and stuff, different links, stuff like that. It's all true crime without any of the unnecessary drama. It is a fun place to be if you enjoy true crime. Um, Plus, we all just really like to talk and get to know each other and stuff, and it's kind of like a family, ain't it, Sammy?
Oh
It's
yeah.
kind of like a
Yep.
family, but me and
Well,
Sammy, we
yeah.
are a family. We're just sisters from another mother and father. So,
Yeah.
was there anything you'd like to add?
I think we're good. I think we're good, and I can't thank everybody enough for being here with us. And if you're re-listening, hello. Thank you, and press that like button, leave some DNA, and share and subscribe.
Yes. And with that said, you guys stay vigilant out there. You got to keep your head on a swivel. It is crazy out here. And remember to be kind to each other, share a smile, and save a life. The life you save might even just be your own. So remember to be kind to yourselves as well. And with that said, you guys, blessings, and we'll see you at 5.